Welcome, everybody on Zoom. Looking forward to another Tea with Lee. So we're just gonna kind of hang out for a few while people pour in, and then we'll get started. So while you're all coming to join us today, I'm so glad you're all here. And Zach, you'll let me know when we're live on Facebook.
Yep, we're just waiting on it to pop up over here.
All right. All right, welcome everybody. Folks are just rolling on in. This is great. Okay, I believe we are live on Facebook. So hello to all our Facebook friends who are joining us live. Hope you're all having a wonderful Wednesday afternoon here, whatever time it may be where you are. And we're just watching the folks show up here in the Zoom room and getting everything set up and making sure we're live and everything's golden. And then we will say hello to Lee and his special guests and get things started in just a couple of minutes. So while you're filtering in, please do jump in the chat room on Zoom and let us know where you're coming in from. And if you go into the chat room, make sure to change the drop down from all panelists to all panelists and attendees. It's a little drop down right above the place where you type your message, just to make sure everybody can see you and where you're coming from, and you all can chat amongst yourselves. And then those of you on Facebook, please do comment on the post and let us know where you're coming in from as well. And if you're on Facebook and you'd like to get on Zoom and possibly jump on and ask questions of Lee directly today during our Q&A session, please do feel free. One of the comments on the Facebook post you're watching will have the link to the Zoom room. So you're welcome to come and join us over here. In the meantime, how's it going, Lee and special guests?
Really good. I have so much love here on my lap. This is Kyla right here, and this is Lainey.
Hi.
She's giving me a dad. I'm talking too loud. And this is Miley right here.
Hello.
Yeah.
These are the twins, and this is somebody who has enough energy for two. So it's like having 4 kids.
Beautiful. Nice to see you, girls.
Nice to see you too.
Say hi, everybody.
Hi, everybody.
Well done.
These guys did a great Qigong workout with me, and it's up on YouTube. Did you guys see that? That was fun.
Yeah, that was fun. That was a great routine.
We're
And
gonna
we
get more.
looking at that one, so and enjoying it. Like a lot of really positive comments on it. So good job, girls.
Yeah, more to come.
Nice to have you all here with us today. I guess for a few minutes anyway, until I heard a rumor you guys are going to be spirited away before long. So
Yeah.
they turn into light and they flee through the window. It's pretty amazing.
Yeah, very quickly. It's pretty amazing.
Yeah. Great.
Oh, looks like we have a full crew getting ready to have tea with us.
That's right.
And the girls had some tea and pancakes this morning. So pu'er tea and pancakes is a pretty good combo, huh, girls?
That's a great way to go. Well, I'm about to get some tea going myself. And unusually, I'm not drinking pu'er today. But first, let me introduce myself to the new folks around here. I'm Ben Cox. I'm the co-founder of Holden Qigong. Lee and I have been working together several years to build all the infrastructure and the business that makes it possible to bring all of his amazing teaching out to all of you through the power of the internet. So here we are, and several years in, and really enjoying the community that's built up around our mission to help people health and healing and emotional balance, and have just been really enjoying seeing all the amazing results and hearing from all of you and hearing your questions, and looking forward to doing that again today. So, kids are on the move. Mr. Holden, what are you drinking today? What's the tea protocol today for you?
Well, I am drinking something very special. I am drinking a 1978 pu'er in this little pot with these glasses. Lainey, would you grab me that box, that brown box right there? And this is a tea, Ben, you and I drank some years ago when we were celebrating starting Holden Qigong.
Yeah.
Occasionally for a birthday. So yeah, the little brown one towards the left.
Beautiful.
In 1978, Pu'er is I was the kid's age when this tea was born. Right there, it says 78.
Wow, look at that. That's
and you see right here, this is very important. And this especially is important. So everybody read that and pay attention.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Good.
bye, girls. Have a great day.
Bye, girls.
Bye. This is mini me,
Mini me.
and this is mini mom. It's nice to have friends that look just like one of us, and then somebody here who just is just her own personality. She had me cracking up last night so hard that I was crying, didn't you? Okay. So 1978 is what I'm drinking today. I started it 4 or 5 days ago, but it's still going strong, and it's just a amazing tea. And it really it's so elevating. And sometimes you think, are these old teas really worth it because they're costly and expensive? And in fact, my verdict is yes, they really are.
Well, yeah. I mean, if you've been drinking on that one for several days, you've probably done 50 steepings or more.
Yeah.
And
I've
so
actually done about 30 pots of this, and it's still fresh. It's still going really strong.
Those older teas, they'll just give infinite steeps almost, it seems like. Yeah. And I find that, I was thinking about it this morning. I was like looking at one of my teas from Hidden Peak, the Human Brick, and it's expensive, it's over $1,000 a brick. I don't know how much it is right now, but when you break about $40 worth of tea into a teapot, that's like the cost of a good bottle of wine,
Yeah.
People drink
it really is.
15 minutes or, 2 hours over a nice dinner, and it's gone. And then I'll drink that pot of tea for days, which is kind of crazy to think about. So, you got to put things in perspective. What are your priorities? And for me, tea is a higher priority, definitely.
Yeah.
All right. Today I've decided to drink a black tea today, an aged black tea. So this is actually a tea. It's not a pu'er, but it's an aged tea. It's from 2005. I keep it in this tea caddy. Smells amazing because it's this beautiful aged tea. And I'm going full tilt on the tea wares today. This is a really nice little hand-painted gaiwan. And a gaiwan just means a lidded cup. So it's a cup with a lid. And look at that beautiful, all that beautiful like two bristle artwork. These brushwork is just amazing. It's it's probably circa 1911 or so. It's got the stamp you'll sometimes see on things that are older from China. It says China in big red letters, which kind of offsets the beauty of the artwork here, especially on the lid. I mean, it's just such a beautiful, delicate piece of work. And it's a tiny, tiny little thing. And so it's great for drinking, special teas once in a while. And I'm drinking a very special tea today that is, again, it's an aged black tea, which is something I don't do super often. So that's what I'm up to. And been fun watching people pour in what they're drinking under the chat room. So please do let us know. Got some white tea with mint, some Earl Grey decaf, some lemon, ginger, and turmeric. That's a good one, actually. Masala chai, 3 mint tea, green walnut tea. Wow, green walnut tea. I'd like to try that. Apparently, this is Numi, which is a tea company. It's probably also a person. And Maofeng oolong from Taiwan. I do love a Taiwanese oolong. So we're gonna just get tea started. And as we've been doing, I think Lee will probably get us oriented towards a little gratitude today. But let me show off my little kit today, because I really love this setup. I have, in addition to the tiny little gaiwan, I have a tiny little pitcher today on my tiny little, or on my big old tea table. So I'll just see if I can get this sorted. There we go. Yeah. That works out all right. So this is my tiny little pitcher. It's just the right size for this tiny little guy one. And then I have a tiny little cup. And this is my tiny little kit today. So I'm drinking drinking tiny tea out of a tiny tea setup. So I always enjoy occasionally when I'm doing something special or something unusual. I often do it in the small just to kind of get the full experience. So let's get it going, Mr. Holden. You got a cup of tea ready?
I got a cup of tea ready. I almost always had a cup of tea ready.
Yeah, me too. Well, I want to kick us off, and I've got mine is just about ready too, since it brews so quick.
Now that the three kids are out here, it's like the decimal levels have dropped about 45 points. It goes from yang to yin really quick.
Nice.
Okay. Cheers, everybody. So nice to be having tea with a wonderful group of people. Gosh, and it's so nice to just have people from all over the world contributing their energy into this group intention. So as we do, let's bring some attention to our heart center. So pour yourself a cup of tea, bring it to your heart, and just stir it in. You know, one of the things that we want to do is mix together and create a seamless flow between form and formless. The formless is the Qi. The form is our bodies. And so often we have an idea in our mind, we have an intention, that's formless, and we want to bring it into manifestation, into form. So put your attention onto the heart, middle of your chest. Take a moment to just think about a few things you're grateful for. And in doing so, we create an elevated energy state in the heart center. And then we can hold a new vision of what we think is possible for how we want to feel, what kind of healing energy we want to bring into our bodies, our minds, expand that out into our communities and even into the planet. And let's drink to healthy minds and bodies, healthy communities, and sending some positive energy out into the earth, into nature, into this beautiful place we live in. And cheers.
Cheers. Mm.
Mm-hmm.
Been quite a while since I've had this delicious aged black tea. And aged black tea, it's a very interesting thing that they do, especially in Yunnan, where they're used to aging teas like the pu'er teas that are aged. So they'll take a black tea, it's usually what they call a dian hong or a dian kong, and they'll age it. They'll sort of give it a similar treatment to what they do with pu'er, but it ends up being its own thing. And they have some of the flavors of black tea, but they mellow and develop a sweetness I really love.
I know what's really interesting, and I would love this story, and whether it's absolutely true or not, I'm not sure. But as the story goes, that black tea is supposed to be very smooth, and I bet the black tea that you're drinking is smooth, because when you get an aged black tea that's really well tended to, it doesn't taste bitter, doesn't need milk and honey at all. Right. And so the story of a particular tea batch in China that to the Chinese had gone kind of bad and was too acidic. And they had a big batch of this tea. And they said, you know what, let's not get rid of it. Let's give it to the British. And so the British took that, quote unquote, bad batch of tea, the acidic tea, put milk and honey in it. And all of a sudden we have what we know as British tea. And that same kind of batch went to India and took some of those trees that had this more harsher flavor, and that became chai.
Yeah, so the way I heard it was that it's that they forgot to kill the green. Killing the green is when they flash steam it or pan fry it in a wok real quick or whatever, and what it does is stops this oxidation process. If you take leave them out on your counter, they'll eventually turn dark. But if you flash steam them first, they won't. They'll stay green. So they had somebody in some giant batch tea forgot to kill the green, as they call it. and it oxidated, and they were like, well, let's sell it to the British. Sure enough, they loved it. The funny part is, we think about British tea and we think about Indian tea usually, or Indian or Sri Lankan, and the chai and masala chai is made with those Indian teas. We have like Darjeelings and Assams, and these teas didn't exist until the early 1800s. They forever people were looking for a tea that wasn't Chinese and wasn't controlled by China. The British were so into tea that, and then China had a monopoly, and they had no way to get tea other than China, and they wanted to break that monopoly. And so then finally in the 1815, I think it was, they found a different variety of Camellia sinensis, the tea plant, over the border in India. And boom, East India Tea Company just blows up, start selling tons of this stuff back and bringing tons of the stuff, importing it back to the British. But it was so robust and so bitter, relatively speaking. That company also traded in sugar and opium. So they had this little trifecta of drugs: tea, sugar, and opium. And they created this model of drinking tea with sugar, which really wasn't a thing with Chinese black teas. Even they tend to be sweet and not really require sugar. So it's the whole British style of drinking tea that we know as British style tea and high tea and afternoon tea and all that really has only emerged in the last couple hundred years, but people have been drinking tea for, millennia.
Yeah. Well, that's fascinating.
Yeah.
I love tea stories and origin stories of where this amazing practice came from, because, in China, drinking tea goes way, way back. But, to the world, it's not that old, really. And, tea is a social drink. It's medicine. It can be a meditation. It's mindfulness put into practice. So it's just a wonderful pause, reconnect, tune into what you want. And, it's a great way to create community. And here at our little local tea house, when we could go there, there's no, they don't allow phones or computers. So when you go there, you drink a cup of tea and you're very present. At first, sometimes it's very, oh man, I can't turn on my computer. I can't turn on my phone. But all of a sudden you just unplug for, an hour and a half, 2 hours, and it's a great reset. So even if it's just a 5-minute reset where you're just present with, a beautiful hot beverage, it's a great practice of bringing mindfulness into action. Like Qigong.
Like Qigong. Well said. Yeah.
We get into some of our Q&As.
Sure. Yeah. Let me give some people some basic instructions on how to ask their questions. So we're in this webinar mode for Zoom. So to ask your questions, if you want to type them, you can go down to the Q&A button and put them in there, and we'll get through as many of those as we can. And then towards the top of the hour, I'll invite people to raise their hand if they want to get on camera with Lee and ask their question that way. So by then we'll have gotten through a bunch of Q&A from here. And then if you're on Facebook, you're welcome to ask in the comments, and we'll have somebody bring those over and handle a bunch of those too. So it's going to be, about another hour all told, and let's get going.
Great. I'm seeing some come through the Q&A and the chat. So if you want your question answered, it's best to put it in the Q&A, because in the chat it's going to get lost pretty quickly. So I will start in on the Q&As from the Q&A section.
Perfect.
And Margaret is asking, is there any special considerations for type 2 diabetes? And, not really, not in terms of doing Qigong, but, in terms of what your diet is, yes, absolutely. So in type 2 diabetes, what we want to do with our practice is to bring a lot of energy to our digestion and to balance the yin and yang in our bodies. So digestion was always seen as metabolic fire. The food was seen as wood, your digestion was seen as fire. And so the food you eat is the wood that we put on the fire. And so we want to put good wood that burns into fuel. onto our fire. We also want a strong fire within our own system. So when we have our digestion is compromised, sometimes it's like the fire is diminished, and we want to stoke that fire. And then we don't want to compromise the digestive fire with eating, food that isn't healthy for our bodies. That's kind of like putting a wet log on a small fire. It smolders, it doesn't get turned into energy. So why do we eat? You eat for Qi, you eat for energy for your body. We also eat, a very big reason why we eat is for emotional connection. We love to feel grounded and connected. We eat for social reasons and whatnot. If you've ever done a fast, it's harder emotionally than it is physically on your body oftentimes. So that's kind of a little bit of a basics about Chinese medicine and the theory on eating. So how you eat is every bit as important as what you eat. So eating in a calm, relaxed environment, eating slowly, like a Qigong practice, can be a fantastic way to stoke your digestive fire, to be mindful when you're eating. In fact, often we're eating because we're enjoying our food. And if we're busy and distracted while we're eating, we're not fully enjoying our food. So eat for enjoyment. That means take a little time to sit with your meal and eat it without being too distracted, which is very challenging for us in our Western lives, when we're kind of eating on the go, watching TV while we're eating and whatnot. So have some meals where you're not doing anything else other than eating, to give your digestion and your mind-body system an interconnection. But otherwise, for type 2 diabetes, just exercise and movement and getting your body moving is so important. And that has many benefits to our blood sugar and our overall digestive health. So move your body and keep your Qi circulating like everybody else. And that's extremely important. Hey, somebody's asking me if I plan my routines ahead of time, or I just let the Qi guide me. And I would say it's kind of 80% let the Qi guide me. And, often I will have an idea of what I want to teach for a particular class. In fact, these kind of sessions, these Q&A sessions that we do on our subscription right before class often inspires me to bring in certain kinds of movements. And our tea chats, when people ask questions, I'm like, oh, I'm going to bring in that exercise and discuss and talk about digestion because a question has inspired me. So I kind of get my inspiration and I bring in routines. I have just the Rolodex of hundreds of routines in my brain and my energy system, and I just find the flow with the class and I go with it that way. But I don't always recommend doing that. It's easier if you've been teaching for 30 years, and otherwise, plan out a class if you're a teacher, and have the plan, and then when you get to your class and something comes up, then you can insert new movements based on whatever the flow is that particular day. Belinda's saying hi to all of us. I'm loving the 5-day routine. I'm also trace my meridians every morning from Donna Eden. In fact, I just did an interview with Donna Eden in Los Angeles not too long ago, and we had a great discussion and a wonderful talk. And she's, in fact, practices a little Qigong, but her practice came about through her own healing and the spontaneous healing that she had, where she all of a sudden was able to start seeing energy and moving energy through meridians. And from her own awakening, she started looking at ancient traditions that have energetic practices, and I thought that was fascinating. And then she really got into Chinese medicine and meridians, energy anatomy, and they're asking if they can do a Donna Eden tracing the meridians before or after Qigong practice. I would say before Qigong, because it's kind of like a warm up, getting everything ready. And then, the beautiful thing about our particular style of Qigong is the emphasis on flow and cultivating flow state. And there's so many benefits. So when you're tracing meridians and doing activations, you will activate the Qi. Now you have more Qi available to do your flowing practice. And when you can flow, you get into this effortless state where your mind, your body, and your emotions are all integrated. And you really create an elevated state within yourself, which we call flow state. It wasn't really called flow state back in the day, but this is a new term, how do we get into flow state? There's lots of ways, but a really simple, easy, and safe way to get into flow state is to move your body slowly, synchronize body, breath, and mindfulness. And in about 5 or 10 minutes, we are in this beautiful state of flow. Melvin from England. Uh-oh, his question just disappeared. Oh, that was one I maybe had just answered.
Yeah. It was.
Good. Do you find that morning or evening is best for Qigong? Peggy asks. I say they're both great. It depends on what you want. Morning, I find, is a great time to do an energizing practice. Evening is a great time to do a stress clearing practice. Evening is calling for more yin time. Evening is the yin time of the day. So when we want to do a little clearing, a deep relaxation, it's a great time to do those kinds of practice. Morning is a time to wake up with the day and, focus on our intentions, what we want to create, get charged up. So I like to do both. I really like to do both. Get charged up for the day. At the end of the day, clear any stress that you picked up, get ready to relax. And I would do more of a meditating type of practice, more flows perhaps in the morning, more of a workout, more activations, more focusing on intentions. And that seems to be a good way to create health, harmony, and balance in your life. What is the healthiest tea for overall health? That's a good question. And I think a good quality pu'er is really hard to beat because it's full of antioxidants, but it also has the addition of probiotics and healthy bacteria. It seems to deliver a great energy when you get a good pu'er. It's a great Qi tea. But that being said, almost all tea is full of antioxidants and longevity components. They're all really good. You just have to be careful of how sensitive you are to caffeine, things like that when you're drinking tea. So it's a personal preference. I lean towards pu'er after years and years of drinking all different kinds of tea. I still drink green teas and matcha and mate and things like that. I think it's really fun, but pu'er is I'm almost drinking pu'er every day, and that's my favorite. So
Yeah, mine too. And what I will say about antioxidants is if you want really high antioxidant levels, the amount of antioxidant in white tea is kind of crazy actually compared to all the others. It's the buds of the tea leaf just as they start to form. And the antioxidant levels are just off the charts. Pretty amazing.
Good.
What's great about all these teas is that they have all these other psychoactive compounds, and the pu'ers seem to have the most variety of psychoactive compounds. So some of them have higher levels of borac, which is an antioxidant that is very useful for a lot of things, like it seems to have anti-tumor properties. Some of them have higher levels of GABA, which is a very relaxing compound and very, very nourishing. So it's just amazing. I mean, what's amazing is that, as Lee says, most of the teas seem to have some of these powerful, helpful things. So if you find tea that you love, and we're talking here about true tea, right? Camellia sinensis, not necessarily the incredible array of herbal teas, because once you start getting into that, then that's a whole other thing. And there's certainly a lot of extremely healthy Chinese herbs, for example, you could make into a daily tea. And I do that often as well as drinking tea. But it's so much of it is personal preference. So if you're not gonna drink the tea, then you're not gonna get the benefits. So if you find the teas that you really love and you're compelled to drink fairly often, you'll get a lot of benefit from that. So I think it's almost the key is to be finding what you love and what you'll do, as opposed to necessarily worrying about whether it's the absolute most optimal thing out there.
Excellent. Thanks. That's great, Ben. Some good questions rolling in here. One here from Mira: what place does the brain organ have in Chinese medicine? And this is a great question. Is it yin or yang? Why doesn't it have a paired organ or part of the elemental system? So in Chinese medicine, the brain was called the curious organ. curious because they couldn't really figure this out. And they recognized in the energy system that there was different wisdom centers. So there was the brain as a wisdom center, there was the heart as a wisdom center, and there was the belly as the wisdom center. And what is so interesting is that recent research in the last 20 years or so are talking about the second brain, which is your guts, which is your belly. And that was called the belly brain in Chinese medicine. So Mantak Chia, when this research came out, was talking a lot about the second brain. And this is the dantian in the belly, and all the research and how it kind of confirming what these ancient mystics and energy masters were talking about, because there's neurological activity in the gut. And neurological activity was thought of only to be part of the nervous system and the brain. So why is there neurological activity in your guts, in your belly? And, so obviously all these energy practitioners were like, because it's your kinesthetic wisdom, it's your gut feelings. And so we seem to have these different wisdom centers that give us access to different information. The heart too is full of neurological activity. 40,000 neurons in the heart that mainly go from the heart to the brain, which I found fascinating. So the heart communicates to the head. Now, is your head listening to your heart, or are we telling it to be quiet because we got to be reasonable? The heart's going to give you information on how to live your life with most joy and happiness. And we tend to suppress that information to live with most responsibility. So these wisdom centers are very powerful. The brain, the upper dantian in Chinese medicine, was called the observation deck. So it's like you're standing on top of the mountain, being observant and witnessing life go on around you. Then you come to your heart center, the emperor, and you make decisions from the heart that lead to joy, happiness, and compassion, how to be in service to others. And then we listen to the belly on how to guide and direct our own life force energy through life with a deeper intuitive understanding. So the brain is more connected to the wisdom center of the upper dantian and our consciousness and our spirit. And being called the curious organ, it was that the brain, for me, it was that they couldn't quite figure out what the brain was all about. How consciousness worked. And I mean, I think that's the great mystery, that our brains and our consciousness in these wisdom centers are beyond what we can conceptualize. And if we face life with a sense of awe and wonder, we live with more of a childlike spirit. We're curious about things. As soon as we put ourselves in boxes where we know everything, life stops being inspirational. And so that advice from ancient Chinese masters, where we can be curious and live from a place of awe and be really observant and not be keep this wisdom center in the brain kind of open, calm, and clear, rather than repeating thoughts over and over again. And I think that's what's so wonderful about Chinese medicine. So the organ systems and the meridians, as the question was posed, is about the paired organs. Now, the brain is outside of that 5-element system. It's yang in nature because it's on the upper body, and it has to do with the 3 treasures. Mainly the treasure of our Shen and our spirit, which is really about our consciousness. And so we go deeply into that in our 3 treasures immersion week. And that might be something fun for you to try, is to take a week training on the 3 treasures, and you can do it online now. And you can get all kinds of Qigong practices, meditations, theory about this whole system that I'm talking about right now. Okay, Anne, I am relishing the 5-day challenge and wondered, if I'm subscribing, will I be able to have access to the sessions again and again after it's over? That's a good question, Anne. We have sessions on there that are permanent, that live there, that you can do over and over again. We have the AM and the PM, one for healthy spine, one for better balance, one is a chair routine. But what the classes are designed to do is if you're in class with me. So if you went to your local Qigong studio or yoga class, you don't always get a copy of that class as a tape or a DVD. So we keep them up there for 2 weeks. They drop off. But what I do is that I repeat classes and I bring in similar movements in different ways. So you're going to get a wide variety of movements and forms, and then you'll see them cycle back through over and over again based on the season, what's going on in the world, how I'm feeling, what questions you ask. So they will be up. And then sometimes if I'm out of town teaching, we bring back classes quite frequently, actually. And so they do come back around and you get to participate in them. So it's really fun in that regard.
Just in case, she was also asking about the specific 5 20-minute routines that we did for the challenge, which were kind of hand selected from the past couple of months in order to provide people a great introduction and have a good experience during the challenge. If you do become a paid subscriber as part of a challenge participant, then you do get access to those for life. You could download them. So that's a nice bonus that we give to people who become subscribers after the challenge, just in case that's what you're asking as well. But everything else Lee said is true. What I love about the subscription is, for me, it was great to come to weekly classes, and I had the benefit of living here in Santa Cruz where Lee was teaching several days a week. And what I realized is so many people who were relying on his DVDs from his previous publishers and so forth really didn't get the variety of, I call it movement and energetic nutrition, that a healthy diet can really benefit from, which is why creating the subscription to Lee's weekly classes was really a first thing that we did together, because it allowed those people who've been doing Qigong for a long time, but maybe have 4 DVDs that keep repeating, to start to really get access to that ongoing and development of a very strong energy body through the variety of movements and nutrition. It really is great. So that's honestly, to me, it's my favorite thing that we do, aside from possibly the teacher training that allows people to really go deep into the principles and get the theory behind it. The subscription is my favorite other thing, just because it does offer so much variety over time.
Nice. Yeah, I love that explanation. All right. Questions. Here we go. What is the best time to do Qigong? Oh, we answered that one already.
Always.
Always do it. Yeah, just do it whenever you feel it. Here's another Lee asking a question. How do you feel about closing your eyes during Qigong practice and also doing Ujjayi breathing? Eyes closed, eyes open, personal preference. When you close your eyes and are doing movement and practice, it's really going inward, especially if there's anything distracting going on around you, that you can go inward and really feel into your Qi. When you open your eyes and do the practice, what I instruct people to do is use your vision, your visual consciousness, as a way to bring you into the moment. But what you don't want to happen is to look at somebody else in the room or look at something that catches your attention and then start thinking. So we want to get out of our thinking mind and our judgment mind, like, oh, that person's not doing the movement right, or, oh, I see the wall is painted yellow, I would have painted it blue. And we start, having judgment conversations going on in our mind, as our minds do. But Qigong is actually giving you an opportunity to do a few things. One is to be in the present moment and not be in a hurry, not be ahead of yourself. You drop into the moment so you're non-resistant. And what we'll find with our minds is that we're often resisting the present moment by thinking about something in the future or something in the past. And by being in non-resistance in our minds, it creates non-resistance in our bodies that leads to a powerful flow of energy, an upgraded energy system through your whole mind, body, physiology, which is a wonderful practice. And that gives us a chance to just take a moment to be in the moment. And that's great. So if your eyes are open, you look without thinking, you listen without thinking. Eyes closed, you feel into the energy of the present moment within your body, but without thinking. And so eyes open, eyes closed, doesn't matter. That the goal is to coax the mind into the present moment. And that is where all the energy is. The energy is in the moment, right here, right now. Let's see. Somebody's asking, have you ever tried growing your own tea? That's funny. No, I have not. And this pu'er tea is only grown in one particular region of the world. And for some reason, it doesn't grow anywhere else, probably because of the soil from the Himalayan mountains. It seems to grow at the base of the Himalayan foothills. And it's a very special ecology that allows pu'er to grow at this particular region of the world. So, and I haven't tried to grow green tea or anything else. I'm more of an expert tea drinker than a tea grower.
Well said. Yeah, the pu'er is fascinating because these tea plants, unlike most Camellia sinensis, grows to be bushes 4 to 6 feet tall, maybe. These tea plants that grow in Yunnan area of China in the foothills of the Himalayas can become 25-foot tall trees that can live to be 2,000 years old. And it's still Camellia sinensis. It's still the tea species. It's just these varieties that grow there. And then the microbial soup that happens to exist there is what starts this post-fermentation process. And you can't replicate that anywhere else. It's kind of like if there's a certain blue cheese that only happens in a certain cave in France. It's kind of the same thing, you know. But we don't really have a good climate for growing tea here. Hawaii actually has started to grow some oolongs. New Zealand is growing oolongs. There's certain areas that are growing tea now that never were before, but Hawaiian oolong is the first tea grown in the U.S.
Great. Okay, somebody's asking, can you recommend Qigong exercises for afternoon when you feel tired? I mean, that's often the case, is that we get a little sleepy in the afternoons, and you know, a nice, relaxing reset, recharge can be a wonderful way to have a productive afternoon and going into the evening, because sometimes we're working and then we need to switch gears and be at home and cook dinner. I know this is the case for me, you know, going to work or being on the computer, and then I have the kids, and then we got to switch gears and cook dinner and then clean and be engaging with them. And so how do we have enough energy to last us through the whole day and to be our best selves through all the different engagements that we have? So quick exercises that help with afternoon slump would be knocking on the door of life, or just tapping on your kidneys. So if you just stood up from your desk and just knock here up and down this whole area, and then do knocking on the door of life pretty vigorously, that often will get strong enough to wake you back up. And sometimes I just stand up from my chair, do that for 2 minutes, come back to work and sit down, and I feel recharged. If you can do more, you do a spinal enlivening set. So you do knocking on the door of life, spinal cord breathing, and maybe a little Qi massage right up and down on the sternum. And that's a great afternoon reset. If you have more time than that, then do some flows. Some like the fountain and some kidney flows helps to lift the energy up through the body. So in 15 minutes, you could have a full practice where you've energized or activated Qi, and then done some flowing movements that are upward in nature that bring more Qi to your brain, and you're back to work feeling charged up. And I often do that if I'm writing or having to do any kind of creative work, instead of just busy work. Instead of like when I'm responding on emails or doing task oriented, I don't feel like I need that kind of energy, but I really want to focus on creativity, insights, you know, visionary stuff. That's the kind of routine I'll do. Quick question on the shaking. Do you lift your heels off the ground? You can do it either way. If you lift the heels and knock your heels into the ground while you're shaking, it's going to energize your bones. If you're doing shaking a little slower but deeper, it's going to open the energy through your joints. All shaking will clear stress, internalize stress, and start to get it to circulate or transform back into vitality. Shaking is another great exercise to do as a Qi break anytime.
Hey, Lee.
Yeah.
Let's go ahead and take a few from Facebook, because I know we've got about as many people over there as we do over here watching the live stream. Hi on Facebook. So Zach's been collecting those up for us, and are you ready, Zach?
Yeah, we've got a few questions coming in from over there. The first one is from Lucinda Goya out of Hawaii. Could you ask Lee to comment on the concept of 100 days of Qigong and how that works if you're trying to work on a specific issue? Mahalo.
Yeah, the 100-day practice is a kind of quite a well-known thing in Qigong. They say, like, you know, when you do something for 100 days straight, it becomes part of you. It becomes habituated. It becomes, you really create a transformation in who you are, meaning that you go out the other side after 100 days, after 100-day practice, different than when you started. So right now we're doing a 5-day challenge. You know, 100 days sometimes is a little bit much for people to commit to, but when we do something for a continued period of time, your energy shifts. And the 100-day practice was really for people who wanted to dive deep into their practice, wake up all this amazing energy within them, wake up to their power and potential. And there was some recommendations, and different teachers had different ways in which they recommended going through a training. And so it just is a great kind of 3 months or just over 3 months way of creating a big shift in your energy system. Now you could do it for your own particular reasons. I want to upgrade my energy. I really want to get into this practice. I want to tune into my purpose. I have something that I need to heal within myself. Thinking about a 3-month commitment is a great way to create a big transformation and shift within yourself. Some of the 100-day practices I've done were quite challenging. You know, like a 100-day challenge of embracing the tree for 30 minutes at a time, or doing turning the wheel, which is a microcosmic orbit exercise for 30 minutes at a time. And it's a commitment, and it's wonderful. So you can make your own 100-day practice, whether you're doing it for, you know, 7 minutes, an hour, 2 hours. It just depends on your goal and your intention. And so think about that, and knowing that it takes about 3 months to create a big shift in your energy system. But even a consistent 7 minutes a day practice over 100 days, it's a great accomplishment, and you have done something really healthy and healing for yourself.
Yeah, and we have another question from Farinush. I have a lot of headache and tension in my head when I study and concentrate and read text. What can I do for that problem?
Yeah, so that means there's an elevated energy coming up to the head. So yang is becoming excess. Yang is like fire. Fire tends to rise. So we want to do something to cool the fire. So even a deep breath, inhale and exhale as you come down. That's called pulling down the heavens. And it helps to bring the heat out of the head. Do that for about 2 minutes, and then go back to work with a clearer mind.
And we have another question from Avril. Should you drink lots of water after a Qigong session / workout? Does that clear out toxins? Also, does the weather have an impact on energy when you get out into nature, like standing on wet ground or being out in the forest in the rain?
Good questions. Yeah, hydrating your body is good. You don't have to overly hydrate. Sometimes what I like to do is drink, you know, good tea before practice and a big glass of water or 2 after practice. For hydration, what seems to be a really great thing is about 20 minutes before eating a meal, have a big glass of water so that you're hydrating your body on an empty stomach, and then that hydration really gets into your cells. As far as doing Qigong out in nature, I'm a big fan. I love it. There are some precautions and recommendations. Often it's said, don't do Qigong when it's too windy, and especially windy and cold if you don't have proper clothes. So in general, I would say don't do Qigong when it's windy and cold and you feel a little chilled. As far as like moisture on the ground, that can be a great way to connect to the earth and get your energy going, as long as you're not feeling uncomfortable. Especially being out in the forest seems like a great way to really connect to the energy of the earth and the trees and the energy of the forest. It's such a pristine energy and a powerful energy. Trees have a synergistic energy system as our human body. So when we exhale, the trees take that carbon dioxide in almost as an inhale, and they exhale out oxygen. So you can do the same kind of thing with energy. You are letting go of your negative energy. the trees take that in and give you back positive energy. So it's a great time to practice out in the forest, especially when the is nice. And if it is a little cold, just dress warmer, and that's fine.
Yeah, your outdoor routines are some of my favorites. And we have a question from Patty. Can practicing Qigong help you with weight loss?
Absolutely. You know, I was on staff with Weight Watchers for 2 years, and I created all their healthy mind body movement programs for those 2 years. And we had what they called at the time the best pilot program that the company has ever run. And people were really loving it, because weight loss isn't just about what you're eating and how many calories you're eating. It's really about mindset, stress management, how well you're sleeping, all kinds of things. Because when you're stressed, stress takes energy out of your digestion and brings it to your muscles. So if we're in a chronic state of stress, we're not digesting very well. In fact, that metabolic fire is getting diminished through stress. And when you're in relaxation, you have a lot more energy that comes back to your digestion so that you metabolize your food better, and all kinds of things. So really, weight loss is much more than just what you're doing in a workout. So if you sleep well, your stress is low. In fact, those were higher up on the list of factors that cause weight gain than eating and exercise. Yes, eating and exercise is very important, but there's other factors like stress, sleep, and movement, that healthy movement, you know, periodically and frequently through the day. And that's what Qigong gives you. It gives you a great workout, so you're getting your movement in. It gives you tools and techniques to move through the day that you can have Qi breaks. It clears your stress, you sleep better, your mind and body are integrated. And one of the best things about Qigong is it helps emotional balance, so it cuts cravings. And that's what we designed with our weight loss program with Weight Watchers. And it is a wonderful thing. And we talk about creating a weight loss program in our own world quite frequently. So at some point in time, I bet we'll have something to do with weight loss in the not too distant future.
Nice. And we have a question from Jeanette. What's your recommendation on treating high cholesterol with Qigong?
Well, cholesterol is called dampness in the blood. So in Qigong and Chinese medicine, there's too much, let's say, call it damp energy in the blood. And we would work on the liver. And one great thing about pu'er tea is that it seems to clear cholesterol. It's a great therapeutic medicine for cholesterol. So pu'er tea would be a recommendation, and anything that helps with the spleen or digestion will be great. So exercises for digestion are great. And by the way, we have the Qigong for Digestion workshop, which is a 3-hour intensive that we did. It's up on the website. So if you wanted to take that workshop, learn about digestion, how to boost it, how to strengthen your metabolism, it is up on our website. But pu'er tea, moving your body, clearing stress can be all very beneficial to cholesterol.
Nice. And our last question on Facebook is from Anto from Italy. Do you think also what we eat can change our mind and body balance?
Yeah, absolutely. So we talk about Qi. Qi means life force energy. It's what keeps you alive. So we have this body that we're born with. That's called prenatal Qi. Then postnatal Qi, the energy that we need each and every day. So postnatal Qi would be food, and it would be air, breathing. So we spend a lot of time on what should we eat. And there's, thousands of books on dietary recommendation. But breath is a quicker source to energy. So pay attention to how you're breathing, because both breathing and eating deliver Qi to our bodies. Just eating is a slower way of delivering energy. So get some basic guidelines for yourself on what is healthy for your body in terms of eating. In terms of Qi, we don't want to overeat, because we all know that if we overeat, we feel sluggish, that it takes a lot of your energy to then go digest this food. If you eat healthy and not overeat, that food gets transformed into energy really quickly. And so those are the kinds of things that we want. And then get a good breathing practice, get a good movement practice, and that helps to contribute to your overall Qi. And we think about lots of different factors for healthy energy. So there's food, just one factor, breathing, there's movement, there's emotional stress, there's sleep. And so all of those factors contribute to your overall energy. So look at all of those things as the totality of your energy system and how to do all of those things that I just mentioned really well.
Beautiful. Facebook folks, thanks so much for posting all your questions, and hope you're all having a great time over there. And those of you who are still with us on Zoom, which is all of you, looks like, now's the time. We're going to do some face-to-face Q&A. So if you're interested, you can go down to the participants link, and then that'll bring up a list of people over on the side, and you may hit the button at the bottom that says raise hand to raise your hand so that we can call on you and answer your questions live. See if hands are starting to raise. Great. So, and I think we'll continue to do a few answers over in the Q&A section. We'll type back some responses. So if you did ask a question there, we won't get to all of them since the number keeps growing, but we'll get to as many as we can while we do some face-to-face Q&A. So we're going to get started with Sue Ellen Harwood. She'll be rejoining momentarily. Here she comes.
Okay, start my video.
Perfect. Hi, Sue Ellen.
Hi. There I am.
You
Hi.
again?
Hello.
Hi. So I'm doing the 5-day challenge and really loving it. I feel great. It's just amazing. But my question is, let's see, I'm trying to help somebody who has terrible gout in their right hand, so painful that it's hard to move. I'm a massage therapist, and this person also was in hospice. He had brain cancer and a variety of things. But I'm just wondering, is there something, he can move the other arm. Is there a way, something to do with Qigong that might be helpful?
Yeah. So have him do Qigong movements just with one arm.
One arm.
Flows and get some energy activated. Yeah. And then just hold the hands like this. And with this hand, hold that Qi ball and just pulse back and forth. And the energy from this arm will get a healing response into this hand.
Okay.
And
anything in particular for gout? Is it just more the flowing movement?
Yeah, that is often called a liver imbalance. So anything that will help the liver will help with gout. Specifically like healing sounds, I would recommend healing sounds for this person. We have a healing sounds course on our website, and you could do it sitting. It's a meditation. It's also a movement practice. I would start him with doing the healing sounds as a meditation and getting energy starting to move and circulate.
Okay, great. Thanks.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Great. That was a really good question, actually. Next up, we have Clinton, and Clinton will be popping on. And for those of you who are still pending, please do feel free to go down to participants and then go click on the raise hand button. We'd be happy to talk to you. Hey, Clinton.
This is my daughter, Rosie.
Hey, Rosie.
And we kind of suffer a little bit from anxiety and the stresses of life, and sometimes things can be quite overwhelming. So I've been following you for years, and much appreciate you being teaching me what I've learned. So I'm now trying to pass it down. And one thing I'm just kind of struggling with at the moment is trying to teach Rosie how to breathe. And I know it sounds simple, but it's, as you expressed earlier, it's the Qi of life. So how would you suggest maybe I could teach Rosie how to breathe?
That's great. Rosie, I bet you've been breathing your whole life.
Yeah.
You know how many breaths you take each and every day is about 20,000 breaths. And so our breath is often a reflection of how we feel. So when we're feeling anxious, the breath becomes shorter. And when we feel sad, for example, people, you know, when they're crying, they have a particular breathing pattern and expression. So we say that when you're angry, it's strong exhales. You're like, ah, right? And when we're sad, we don't really want to exhale because sadness is a reflection that we don't really want to let go of things. So anxiety or being anxious is a shortening of the breath. So what I recommend to do, it's a very simple practice. You're going to focus on exhaling all the way out. You're going to just blow all your breath out. So all the way out. And then when you inhale, take a breath through your nose, slow and deep. And then when you exhale, slow, but you want to exhale all the way out. See if you can empty, 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 empty. And then automatically when you inhale, you're going to take a deeper breath in. And that's a great breathing practice when you feel anxious, nervous, any kind of anxiety. Now you can also do that same breathing. As you do it, you tap on your chest. A bit of a Tarzan Qigong moves. You tap, you exhale, and then you just make the breath long and deep. And as you're tapping on the chest and exhaling, you imagine anything that is causing you anxiety is just being released out. And that's a very simple, extremely effective technique for lowering anxiety. And you can even test for yourself. How anxious am I right now? And give yourself a number like a 6, 7. And after doing 2 minutes of this, test again, and it'll drop from a 7 to a 2 or a 3. So, and you can do it periodically through the day. Now, the hard thing is to continue to doing it because anxiety seems to repeat itself. Because of this, we tend to have a thought, anxious. We see something on the news, some bad thing happens and makes us anxious. So clear it out and then start to work with your mind on thinking positive thoughts, thinking about things that you enjoy, think about or even asking yourselves, what fun things am I going to do the rest of the day? And just put your attention on that.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Nice to meet you, Rosie.
Say bye.
Bye.
Great. Next up, we have Alisar. Alisar is going to pop in here momentarily, and we'll be able to say hello. Here we are. Hi, Alisar. We can...
Trying to figure out how to start my video.
I think it may have prompted you. There you go. Hello.
Yeah, hi. I am calling you from London, and I have started on Qigong like 3 weeks ago with another teacher in England, which I was very, very pleased with the movements. And I'm doing the 5-day challenge, and I really, really, really enjoying the Lee's classes. And also because I suffer from low back problem. I've had surgery like 20 years ago, spinal fusion, and I never ever thought that I'll be able to follow a class. And I'm pleasantly surprised that I've been able to do the classes with no pain, which is very good. Wonderful. So this is why my first question, I want to ask if the Qigong is good for strokes. I have a relative who just had a stroke, and he is left with quite a lot of impairment and damage. So I want to see, especially memory and speech, and also swallowing.
Great.
So,
well, thank you for that. I'm glad you're enjoying the Qigong, and I think what you
very
said,
much so, very much so. I must say.
I think you said something very important, because Qigong is pleasantly surprising, and it becomes more and more pleasant the more you do it, and you start to feel good in your body. When you feel good in your body, things start to shift and change. In fact, feeling good in your body is one of the best ways to create a healing effect through our system. So specifically, now we're talking about strokes. Strokes are challenging because it affects the brain and the nervous system and our connection between brain and body. Now, when your body is more integrated and your energy is circulating, healing happens. So I've seen stroke patients, patients with Parkinson's and neurological issues get great benefit from doing Qigong. In fact, having sometimes miraculous recoveries, sometimes it's just simple improvement and feeling better in their bodies. So I definitely recommend doing practice. Now, with certain stroke patients, they are, maybe they can't stand up, they're in a chair. So you just do what you can. Even deep breathing and doing pressure points and doing some Qi massage and doing some flowing movements from a chair can greatly help empower somebody, get their energy circulating. And the most important thing is activate their own inner healing power, because your body can do tremendous things when we give it enough energy to do so. So yes, absolutely. Have them do exercises like pulling down the heavens. Anything that's downward in motion helps to bring healing energy to the brain.
Can I ask you a question? One more question, sorry. Do you know of a center in Europe that they do Qigong? Because he is willing to go. We can send him. Do you know if a very good center or a play, or some?
Yeah,
because
that sounds good. I would love to come to Europe and teach Qigong, but I don't know any good centers. But we have some teachers in Europe. So maybe type in your question to support at Holden Qigong, and we can maybe give you a recommendation for a teacher of ours over there.
Okay, like in London, for instance.
Yeah, we have some teachers in London for sure.
Yeah, okay. So you want me to type what? Put my question in the Q&A now?
Yeah, do it in support. Go to email. You email support at holdenqigong.com, and we have some great people that help people with their questions there. So that goes for everybody.
Great. Thank you so much.
Support at Holden Qigong.
I look forward for tomorrow's lesson. Thank you.
Excellent. Nice to meet you.
Bye. Me too. Bye.
Alisara, I just put that email address in the chat for you. So
thank you.
Jump over there and go ask, and we'll find you some locals.
Thank you.
Great. Well, that's all the raised hands we have so far. And we do have a little more time. If anybody else wants to sneak in under the wire, you're welcome to. Otherwise, I would say that, oh, yep, here they come. I had a feeling that would happen. Great. Next up is Tea with Lee, which I think is actually probably Todd. I believe I've just promoted him, and he'll be in just a sec. Great. Howdy.
Hello.
Nope, I was wrong. It's not Todd. Hi.
Hi, this is Kathy.
Hi, Kathy.
I just want to know, I did ask a question and maybe you just overlooked it or couldn't get to it, but I'm wondering about arthritis of the hips. Is there anything in particular, or arthritis in general, to help?
Yeah, we have try the program that we have online, Qigong for Healthy Joints. Some great
Thank you.
Hip joint opening. So online, Qigong for Healthy Joints. And I tend to do these kind of exercises for the hips and low back a lot in the subscription as well. So subscription class, and specifically Qigong for Healthy Joints.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Loving it. Loving it. Brand new. I'm loving it. Thank you.
All right. Fantastic. Nice to meet you, Kathy.
Welcome. That was an easy one. You're a master of knocking down the easy ones.
Yep.
Let's see what Jenny's got to say. Jenny is on her way into... Et voila. Hi, Jenny.
On mute. There. Start
Gotcha.
my video. There. Can you see me?
And here you come.
There you go. I'm not very technologically, well, I am technologically challenged, but I just want to say how much I'm enjoying it so much. And yeah, just to say hi to you and to Lee. And I've done the other 5-day, and now I'm doing this one. And I find myself, I do the 5-day, 20 minutes plus the extra, which I don't feel tired. I feel like once I start, the other day I did like an hour plus and I wasn't tired. And I thought, am I doing too much? Can you do too much at one time?
That's good. Too much Qi. I mean, you're gauging yourself. I think that was a great statement that you're not feeling tired afterwards. So you're doing just the right amount. And sometimes we want to push a little bit and get some energy activated like a good workout. But, you know, some people do 2-3 hours a day just because it feels so good and they have the time. It's a great investment into yourself and your health, into your energy system, which is everything. So I think an hour or 2 a day, definitely. If you're starting to get to 4 hours a day, you should be in good shape. But I would say, you know, an hour in the morning, hour in the evening is ideal. It's fantastic. So it's so nice to meet you, and keep up the good work.
I'm also trying to get to learn because I have to go back to my emails all the time because I don't know how to get into the website. I always go through the email.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. You know, it's actually pretty easy to get there without having to go to the email, and the internet being what it is, sometimes the emails don't get there even if all our other emails have gotten there, it's just a maddening thing about running an internet-based business, but it is what it is. So the easiest thing is if you go to our main website, and you can just sort of Google Lee Holden or Qigong and get to holdenqigong.com, then in the upper navigation, there's a student login link. And you can always log in there with your email and password and get to all the stuff that you have access to. So in the case of the Qi Challenge, you'd log in there and it would show you the video class subscription. You click on that. And then there's a little blue banner across the top of the subscription that goes straight to the day's challenge page. So if you just go to the website and log in, and then just kind of, it'll just, you know, keep clicking the links and you'll find where you need to be pretty quickly.
I hope I get to the login because I don't remember what my password is because I have it automatically just supposed to come up. So
That'll come up automatically then too, I think. But
okay.
If it doesn't, you're welcome to hit the forgot password link.
Okay.
Yes.
Thanks so much for both of you.
Oh, my pleasure.
Thank you.
I'm welcome. I'm glad you're having a great time.
I am.
Zach just put a link to the main website in the chat room for those of you who are looking for an easy way to just log in all the time without having to go back to the emails. You might want to bookmark that link. It's a great way to get where you're trying to go. Okay, great. Well, Mr. Holden, since we're kind of home stretching here, we're down to the last few minutes, maybe it's time to have a little bit of a closing for us and send these lovely folks on their way to go practice Qigong.
Yeah, wonderful. Thanks, guys, and great questions. I'm sorry if we didn't get to your question, but we do these fairly frequently. We have Q&A each and every class lately on the subscription. We're answering 3 or 4 questions before every class and then doing a class. So yeah, I think we started with gratitude, and I think the question about how to clear anxiety is really relevant for people right now, and that little breathing exercise that we did. Maybe what we could do is just a little bit of Qigong, a little Qigong closing where we do that exercise. So why don't we all just tap on the heart center here and just knock up and down on your chest. And another great Qigong tip is while you're doing some exercise, they often recommend what is called an inner smile. So it's a little smile on your face. And if you smile, you have 80 muscles in your face, and that sends a message to your body that you are feeling good and that you're not anxious or stressed out. So you just breathe deep, knock on this point, smile a little bit. I know it seems a little goofy, but smiling is a powerful elixir for your mind and body. Now, children, they say smile over 400 times a day, and adults, if you're happy, it's more like 25. So don't forget that you have powerful energy healing techniques at your disposal if you're using them, and smiling is one of those. Take a big deep breath, smile, knock a little harder, and then close your eyes, bring your hands to your heart, just tune into the energy of your heart. Remember that this is a wisdom center. It's a center where we can feel connected to each other, connected to our beautiful planet, and connected to the energy that we want to cultivate. So you just take a big deep breath and feel connected to the energy that you want more of in your life. More joy, more peace. And sometimes the best way to get out of stress and anxiety is to replace it with an elevated emotional energy. Joy, peace, compassion, love, kindness, and just breathe that in and get so full of those emotions and those energies that there's no space or room for the negativity to stay or stick with you. Just get full of gratitude, appreciation, peace, love, whatever resonates for you at this particular time. Let it fill up through your heart and every cell in your body. Wonderful. Thank you all so much for joining, and we look forward to having tea with you soon. And we'll see you all, or those of you that can make it, in some form of Qigong class. And if not, we'll be sending positive energy out into the energy field that you are now tuned into.
That's right. Thank you again, everybody. We'll see you next time, and have a great rest of your day. Bye.